For thousands of years, humanity believed it was alone in the universe. People looked up at the night sky and wondered if other intelligent life existed somewhere among the endless stars. Scientists built powerful telescopes, searching for signals or signs of distant civilizations. But for a long time, the universe remained silent. Earth continued to grow and change. Humanity had reached a new age of technology. Cities were larger than ever. Satellites filled Earth's orbit. Space stations floated high above the planet, watching over the blue world below. Humans had even built small bases on the Moon and on Mars. It was the beginning of a new era. But humanity still believed that space was mostly empty. That belief ended on a quiet morning. Deep in space, far beyond the orbit of Pluto, one of humanity's long-range telescopes detected something unusual. The telescope was part of a large monitoring station designed to track asteroids and comets. At first, the system thought it had detected a group of large rocks moving through space. But the computer soon realized something was very wrong. The objects were moving in perfect formation. Natural objects did not move like that. Scientists quickly checked the data again and again. The results were the same every time. Thousands of massive objects were entering the solar system. Within minutes, the discovery was sent to space agencies and governments around the world. Researchers studied the strange signals carefully. The objects were far too large to be asteroids. They were ships. Not just a few ships. An entire fleet. The news spread quickly through global defense networks. Military leaders stared at the screens in shock as new images arrived. The fleet was enormous. Some ships were larger than entire cities. Smaller ships surrounded them like swarms of metal insects. No human civilization had ever built anything close to that size. One scientist quietly said the words everyone was thinking. "These are alien ships." Silence filled the control room. High above Earth, orbital defense stations turned their sensors toward the distant fleet. The strange ships continued moving slowly toward the center of the solar system. Their path was clear. They were heading for Earth. Far away, aboard the largest ship in the alien fleet, a group of commanders observed the small blue planet. For centuries, their empire had ruled a large part of the galaxy. Their fleets had conquered hundreds of worlds. Many civilizations had fallen before their power. To them, planets like Earth were common. Their scanners studied the planet carefully. The alien machines analyzed human technology, military strength, and industrial power. The results were simple. Primitive. Earth had some satellites and small space stations. Humanity had built rockets and a few early spacecraft. But compared to the Empire's advanced technology, humans were extremely weak. The commanders were not worried. To them, Earth was just another world waiting to be conquered. One of the officers watched the data appear on a glowing screen. Population, 8 billion, the machine reported. Another screen showed human cities shining across the dark side of the planet. "So many people," one officer said calmly. "Yes," another replied. "A useful labor force." The Empire had done this many times before. When they discovered a new world, they invaded quickly. The local population was forced to serve the Empire. The planet's resources were taken, and its people became workers for the growing Empire. Earth would be no different. The fleet commander gave a simple order. Continue advance toward the third planet. Thousands of warships slowly moved deeper into the solar system. Back on Earth, scientists continued studying the incoming fleet. New images showed more details of the alien ships. Their designs were strange and powerful, covered in heavy armor and glowing energy systems. The scale of the fleet was terrifying. Some experts estimated that there were more than 10,000 ships. Humanity had never faced an enemy like this before. Governments around the world held emergency meetings. Military leaders discussed defense plans. Scientists searched for any weakness in the alien technology. But one truth was impossible to ignore. The alien empire was far more advanced than humanity. The situation looked hopeless. Yet something surprising happened. Instead of panic and chaos, something else began to grow across the planet. Unity. For the first time in history, nations that had once been rivals began working together. Military forces shared information. Scientists from different countries joined the same research teams. Humanity understood one thing clearly. If Earth was going to survive, every human would have to stand together. And far above the planet, the massive alien fleet continued its slow and confident advance. They believed this would be an easy conquest. They had no idea what kind of enemy they were about to face. The discovery of the alien fleet changed Earth overnight. Only a few hours after scientists confirmed the truth, the news reached the leaders of every nation. Emergency meetings were held across the world. Military commanders, scientists, engineers, and government officials gathered in secure rooms, staring at large screens filled with images of the approaching fleet. The pictures were terrifying. Thousands of alien warships were slowly moving through the outer solar system. Their engines burned with strange blue light. Some ships were so large that they could easily destroy entire cities. No one on Earth had ever seen technology like this. At first, fear spread quickly among the leaders. Many believed humanity had no chance of survival against such a powerful enemy. But hiding the truth from the public was impossible. Within a day, the news reached the entire world. Television channels, internet sites, and social media were filled with the same message. Alien ships were coming to Earth. For a short time, panic spread across many cities. People rushed to stores. Some tried to leave crowded areas. Others simply looked up at the sky, wondering if the end of the world was near. But something unexpected soon happened. Instead of falling into chaos, the people of Earth slowly began to calm down. World leaders appeared on television together in a single global broadcast. For the first time in history, leaders from different nations stood side by side and spoke with one voice. The message was simple. Humanity would not surrender. A new organization was created within hours. It was called the Global Defense Command. Military forces from every major country joined this united command. Ships, aircraft, satellites, and space stations were placed under a shared defense system. Old rivalries were pushed aside. Now there was only one goal: defend Earth. Deep inside a heavily protected underground facility, the main command center of the new defense network was built. Large screens covered the walls, showing the position of the alien fleet as it slowly approached the inner solar system. Teams of scientists studied every piece of data they could collect. The alien ships were powerful, but they were not invisible. Human sensors could track them. Engineers also began preparing weapons that had been kept secret for many years. For decades, some governments had quietly funded experimental defense projects. Many of these projects were designed in case humanity ever faced an unknown threat from space. Most people had believed these programs were unnecessary. Now they were humanity's only hope. Hidden factories began working day and night. New missiles were built. Railgun weapons were prepared. Space defense platforms that had never been activated before were secretly moved into position around Earth. Meanwhile, astronauts on space stations were given new orders. Prepare for war. At the same time, scientists tried to understand the alien technology. The signals coming from the fleet were complex, but human computers slowly began translating parts of their communication. The results were troubling. The alien fleet belonged to a powerful empire that had conquered many planets across the galaxy. Earth was simply their next target. Inside the alien fleet, the commanders watched Earth carefully through powerful scanners. They could see satellites moving around the planet. They could detect human radio signals, television broadcasts, and military communications. To them, the planet looked weak and unorganized. One alien officer spoke calmly while studying the data. The natives are aware of our arrival. Another officer looked at the human signals. They appear to be preparing defenses. The fleet commander did not seem concerned. Primitive defenses, he said. According to their records, many civilizations had tried to resist the Empire before. None had succeeded. Earth would not be different. The commander gave a new order to the fleet. Send them a message. Moments later, a powerful signal was transmitted toward Earth. Human satellites quickly detected the strange broadcast. The signal was strong and clear, repeating again and again in multiple frequencies. Scientists rushed to decode the message. Within hours, the translation was ready. The message was short. It was not a greeting. It was a warning. The alien empire demanded the complete surrender of Earth. Humanity was ordered to shut down all military systems and prepare for occupation. If humans obeyed, the message promised that some of the population might survive as workers under the empire. If they refused, the message was clear. Earth would be destroyed. When the message was finally shared with the world's leaders, the room fell silent. Everyone understood what it meant. Humanity had only two choices: surrender their planet, or fight an enemy far more powerful than anything they had ever faced. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then one of the commanders finally said the words that would shape the future of Earth. "We fight." The alien message spread across Earth within minutes. Every news channel showed the same translation. Phones, computers, and large public screens repeated the message again and again. The words were simple and cold. Surrender the planet. Shut down all military forces. Prepare for occupation. If humanity obeyed, some people might be allowed to live as workers for the empire. If they refused, Earth would be destroyed. For a moment, the entire world seemed to stop breathing. People watched the sky with fear. Families gathered together in their homes. In many cities, crowds stood in the streets, staring at the stars above them. But something unusual began to happen. Instead of breaking apart, humanity slowly became stronger. Across the planet, people understood the situation clearly. The alien empire did not come to talk. They did not come to make peace. They came to conquer. And that meant only one thing: humanity had to resist. Inside the underground headquarters of the Global Defense Command, leaders from many nations sat around a large circular table. Military officers, scientists, engineers, and political leaders studied the alien message on a giant screen. No one doubted the meaning. The Empire believed Earth was weak. That belief might become their greatest mistake. A senior commander stood up and looked around the room. "They expect us to surrender," he said calmly. Several people shook their heads. Surrender was not an option. Humanity had survived wars, disasters, and centuries of struggle. The idea of giving up their entire planet without a fight was impossible. One of the scientists spoke next. "The alien fleet will reach the inner solar system in less than 2 weeks." Another officer added, "Our defenses are being prepared, but we still have much less firepower than they do." The room fell silent again. Everyone understood the truth. The alien empire had thousands of advanced warships. Humanity had never fought a space war before. But the decision had already been made. The commander pressed a button on the table. "Send our reply." Far above Earth, powerful communication stations turned toward the alien fleet. A signal was sent directly toward the massive ships approaching through space. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the alien fleet received the message. Inside the largest alien warship, the fleet commander watched as the human response appeared on a glowing display. Several officers gathered around the screen, curious about the reply. The translation system quickly converted the human message into their language. It was very short. "Earth refuses to surrender." The officers looked at each other in surprise. One of them spoke quietly. "They refuse?" Another officer checked the message again. "Yes. They are preparing for war." For a moment, the control room became silent. Then several officers began to laugh. To them, the idea was almost funny. A primitive world with limited space technology was challenging one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. The fleet commander remained calm, but there was a small sign of annoyance in his voice. "Arrogant creatures." He looked at the large screen showing the small blue planet far away. Earth seemed peaceful and fragile compared to the massive warships surrounding him. "They do not understand their situation," he said. One officer asked an important question. "What are your orders?" The commander answered without hesitation. "Begin the invasion." Across the enormous fleet, new commands were transmitted. Thousands of ships adjusted their course and increased their speed. The first wave of attack ships moved forward. Their target was simple: Destroy Earth's orbital defenses. The Empire planned to remove all resistance quickly. Once space around the planet was secure, ground forces would follow. Cities would be captured and the population would be controlled. It was the same plan they had used on many other worlds. Back on Earth, human defense systems detected the movement immediately. Warning alarms sounded inside military bases around the world. The alien fleet had begun its attack. Large screens inside the Global Defense Command showed hundreds of enemy ships moving closer to Earth's orbit. Their engines burned brightly as they prepared their weapons. Human commanders watched the data carefully. One officer spoke quietly. The first battle is about to begin. Satellites, defense stations, and hidden weapon platforms around Earth slowly powered up. Systems that had never been used before began preparing for combat. Across the planet, millions of soldiers waited for orders. Humanity was about to face the greatest threat in its entire history. Far above the blue planet, the first alien attack ships continued moving forward with complete confidence. They believed this battle would end quickly. But they were about to learn something the Empire had never understood before. Humans did not surrender easily. The alien attack ships moved closer to Earth. From space, the blue planet looked peaceful and quiet. White clouds floated over wide oceans, and bright city lights shined on the dark side of the world. To the alien commanders, it looked like an easy target. Hundreds of alien fighters and warships formed large attack groups. Their engines burned with powerful blue light as they advanced toward Earth's orbit. Inside the alien fleet, officers watched the operation carefully. Large screens showed the positions of human satellites and space stations around the planet. One officer spoke confidently. Primitive defenses detected. Another officer nodded. Minimal threat. According to their scans, Earth only had a few orbital stations and satellites. Nothing that could seriously damage the Empire's powerful warships. The fleet commander gave the order. Destroy all orbital targets. The first wave of alien fighters accelerated toward the planet. Their weapons began charging. Far below, inside the Global Defense Command Center on Earth, alarms echoed through the underground facility. Huge screens showed the enemy ships entering combat range. Military officers watched every movement. One commander spoke clearly. Enemy fighters approaching orbit. Another officer answered, all defense systems are ready. For a few seconds, the room was silent. Then the commander gave the order humanity had been waiting for. Activate orbital defense. High above Earth, several quiet satellites suddenly changed position. These satellites had looked like simple communication stations for years. But now their outer panels opened, revealing hidden weapon systems. Long railgun cannons extended from their frames. Missile launchers powered up. Energy systems began glowing with life. Across the planet's orbit, dozens of hidden defense platforms activated at the same time. The alien fighters did not notice at first. They continued flying toward Earth, preparing to destroy the satellites in front of them. Then the first human missile launched. A bright flash appeared near one of the defense platforms. A high-speed missile shot through space, heading directly toward the alien fighters. The aliens detected it immediately, but it was already too late. The missile exploded in the center of the formation. A bright fireball filled space as several alien fighters were destroyed instantly. For a moment, the alien pilots were confused. More missiles followed. Dozens of them. Hidden launchers across Earth's orbit fired again and again. Hundreds of human missiles raced through space toward the attacking ships. The alien fleet suddenly realized something was wrong. This world has prepared defenses, one officer said in surprise. Explosions flashed across the battlefield. Several alien fighters were destroyed before they could even fire their weapons. Pieces of burning metal drifted through space as more missiles struck their targets. Then the railguns opened fire. Long metal projectiles shot through space at incredible speed. These weapons used powerful magnetic systems to launch solid metal rounds faster than any normal gun. The projectiles smashed into alien ships with devastating force. One large alien fighter was hit directly. The metal round tore through its armor and destroyed its engines in seconds. The damaged ship spun out of control before exploding. Inside the alien command ship, the officers watched the battle with growing concern. "This resistance is stronger than expected," one officer said. But the fleet commander remained calm. "These are only defensive weapons," he replied. He quickly gave new orders. "Send the second wave." Far behind the first attack group, larger alien warships began moving forward. These ships carried heavier weapons and stronger shields. Their cannons started charging with bright energy. Back on Earth, human commanders saw the new enemy ships entering battle range. One officer looked at the screen carefully. "More enemy ships approaching." Another commander nodded. "We expected this." Human defense forces had prepared for a long fight. The hidden platforms continued firing missiles and railgun rounds. Some alien fighters tried to escape the attacks, but many were destroyed before reaching their targets. Still, the Empire's fleet was enormous. Even with the early losses, hundreds of alien ships were still advancing. Suddenly, bright beams of energy shot from several alien warships. The beams struck one of Earth's defense platforms. The station exploded instantly. Inside the human command center, several officers watched the destruction in silence. The battle had truly begun. Humanity had surprised the Empire with strong defenses. But the alien fleet was only starting to show its real power. High above Earth, the battlefield filled with flashing weapons, burning wreckage, and moving warships. The first battle for the planet had begun. And both sides now understood something important. This war would not end quickly. The first battle around Earth shocked the alien fleet. The Empire had expected a quick and easy victory. They believed the small human defenses would collapse within minutes. But instead, their fighters had been destroyed by hidden missiles and powerful railguns. Several alien ships were already drifting through space as burning wreckage. Inside the alien command ship, the officers watched the battle carefully. The large screen showed the damage reports coming from different parts of the fleet. One officer spoke with frustration. "Multiple fighters destroyed. Several ships damaged." Another officer looked at the human defenses around Earth. These weapons were hidden very well. The fleet commander stood quietly, studying the battlefield. His expression remained calm, but his voice carried a small hint of anger. "This world is more prepared than we expected." But he was not worried yet. The Empire still had thousands of warships. Losing a few fighters did not matter to them. "Send more attack ships," the commander ordered. "Destroy their defenses completely." Across the battlefield, larger alien warships began moving closer to Earth. Their shields glowed faintly as they prepared their heavy weapons. Powerful energy cannons started charging again. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Command was also watching every movement. Large screens inside the underground command center showed the positions of both human and alien ships. A human officer pointed at the display. "The enemy is sending bigger ships." Another commander nodded. "They are adapting." But humanity had already prepared for this moment. The first battle had only been the beginning of their plan. For many years, human scientists and military planners had studied the possibility of space warfare. They knew humanity could not build giant ships like the alien empire. So they created a different strategy. Speed. Small human warships suddenly launched from hidden bases near the moon and from secret stations around Earth's orbit. These ships were much smaller than the alien battleships. Some were barely larger than modern fighter jets. But they were extremely fast. Their engines allowed them to move quickly between asteroids, satellites, and debris fields. Inside the alien fleet, sensors suddenly detected dozens of new targets. One officer looked at the scanner. "Unknown ships detected." Another officer zoomed in on the images. "They are very small." The fleet commander studied the data. "Human warships." Several alien officers laughed quietly. "These tiny ships cannot threaten our fleet," one of them said. But seconds later, the first attack began. A group of human ships rushed toward a large alien warship from different directions. Their engines burned bright as they moved at incredible speed. Before the alien ship could react, the human fighters launched their weapons. High-speed missiles shot toward the massive ship. The alien warship quickly activated its defensive shields. Several missiles exploded against the glowing barrier. But the human ships did not stay in one place. As soon as they fired, they turned away and disappeared behind nearby debris. The alien cannons fired back, but the targets were already gone. Moments later, another group of human ships appeared from a different direction. More missiles launched. Another explosion flashed against the alien shields. Inside the alien command ship, officers watched the strange attacks. "They are striking and retreating," one officer reported. The fleet commander's eyes narrowed. Guerrilla tactics. Humans had learned from centuries of warfare on their own planet. When facing a stronger enemy, direct attacks were not always the best choice. Instead, they attacked quickly and disappeared before the enemy could respond. Across the battlefield, dozens of small human ships continued their fast attacks. They moved through the asteroid fields and satellite debris like hunters hiding in the forest. Missiles struck alien ships again and again. Some alien vessels suffered heavy damage. One destroyer lost its engines after a direct missile hit. Another ship was struck by several railgun rounds from a hidden platform. The battlefield slowly became more dangerous for the Empire. Alien officers began to realize something unexpected. Human pilots were extremely skilled. Their ships moved with incredible speed and precision. They used the environment of space to their advantage, hiding behind rocks and destroyed satellites. The alien fleet still had the advantage in size and firepower, but the humans were forcing them into a long and difficult battle. Inside the Global Defense Command, human officers watched the battle reports with quiet focus. One commander spoke calmly. "Phase 2 of the strategy is working." Another officer looked at the growing list of damaged alien ships. They expected a simple invasion. The commander nodded slightly. But this is not a simple war. High above Earth, the battle continued to spread across space. The alien fleet had entered the solar system believing they would conquer a weak and divided world. Instead, they had discovered something very different. Humanity was fighting back. The battle around Earth continued to grow more intense. Alien warships filled the dark space above the planet. Their large metal bodies moved slowly, but carried powerful weapons. Bright energy beams and explosions flashed across the battlefield as both sides fought fiercely. The alien fleet still had the advantage in numbers. But humanity had something the Empire did not expect. Preparation. Inside the underground headquarters of the Global Defense Command, scientists and military leaders watched the battle reports closely. Large screens showed maps of the solar system and the positions of every known alien ship. Human commanders could see that their strategy was working. Small human ships continued attacking quickly and disappearing. Hidden platforms kept firing missiles and railgun rounds whenever enemy ships moved too close. Still, the alien fleet continued advancing. Several human defense stations had already been destroyed by powerful alien cannons. One officer spoke with concern. "The enemy fleet is pushing closer to Earth." Another commander nodded slowly. "They are stronger than we hoped." For a moment, the room became quiet. Then one of the senior scientists stepped forward. "It may be time." Several officers turned toward him. The scientist looked tired but determined. For many years, he and his team had worked on a project that most people believed was impossible. A new type of weapon. Something that had never been used in real combat before. The commander looked at him carefully. "Is it ready?" The scientist took a deep breath. "Yes." Far away from Earth's orbit, hidden behind a large group of asteroids, a strange structure slowly powered on. For years, it had remained silent and invisible to most sensors. Its surface was covered with special materials designed to hide its energy signals. To the alien fleet, it looked like nothing more than a piece of space debris. But inside the structure, powerful systems were now coming to life. Energy began flowing through large internal chambers. Cooling systems activated. Massive focusing arrays slowly moved into position. Back inside the human command center, technicians watched the weapon status appear on their screens. "Power levels rising," one technician reported. "Targeting systems active," another said. The commander watched the numbers carefully. "Lock onto the enemy battleships," he ordered. High above Earth, several large alien ships were moving forward together. These ships were among the strongest vessels in the Empire's fleet. Their armor was thick, and their shields were extremely powerful. They believed they were safe. Inside the alien command ship, officers continued watching the battlefield. Reports showed that some ships had taken damage, but the Empire was still confident. One officer spoke calmly. "Human resistance is weakening." Another officer nodded. "Their defenses cannot last forever." Suddenly, one of the sensor operators looked confused. Strange energy reading detected. Several officers turned toward his station. "Source?" the commander asked. The operator checked again. "It appears to be coming from an asteroid cluster." Before anyone could investigate further, a blinding beam of energy suddenly shot through space. The beam moved at incredible speed. It struck one of the large alien battleships directly. For a brief moment, the entire ship glowed bright white. Then the vessel exploded. The massive warship broke apart in seconds, sending burning pieces of metal flying across space. Inside the alien command ship, alarms immediately filled the room. "Battleship destroyed," an officer shouted. The fleet commander stood up instantly. What weapon was that? No one had an answer. Before the officers could react, the energy weapon fired again. Another powerful beam crossed the battlefield. This time it struck a second alien warship. The ship's shields tried to resist the attack, but the beam was too powerful. The shields collapsed, and the beam tore through the ship's center. Moments later, the vessel exploded. Across the alien fleet, confusion spread quickly. More sensors began detecting the strange weapon. "It is some kind of energy cannon," one officer reported. "But its power level is extremely high." Back on Earth, the Human Command Center watched the results carefully. Cheers quietly spread across the room as the destroyed alien ships appeared on the battle map. The scientist who had built the weapon looked at the screen with relief. Years of research had finally worked. The new weapon system was capable of destroying even the Empire's strongest ships. The commander spoke calmly. "Prepare the weapon for the next target." High above the planet, the alien fleet had finally realized something important. Earth was not just resisting. Humanity had weapons the Empire had never seen before. And the battle for the planet had just become far more dangerous. Rocket. The destruction of the two alien battleships shocked the entire fleet. For the first time since the invasion began, the powerful Empire had suffered serious losses. The strange human weapon had destroyed ships that were considered nearly unstoppable. Across the battlefield, alien crews reported the explosions again and again. Burning pieces of metal drifted through space, where the massive warships once floated. Inside the alien command ship, alarms echoed through the control room. Officers rushed between their stations while large screens displayed damage reports. One officer spoke quickly. 2 battleships destroyed. Several nearby ships damaged by debris. Another officer looked at the sensor readings. "We are still detecting the unknown energy weapon." The fleet commander stood in silence for several seconds. His calm expression slowly changed. For centuries, the Empire had conquered world after world. Most civilizations surrendered the moment the fleet appeared in their skies. But Earth was different. The humans were not only fighting back, they were destroying Imperial ships. That was unacceptable. The commander turned toward his officers. "Locate the source of that weapon." Several technicians began scanning the nearby asteroid fields and debris clouds. But the weapon was extremely well hidden. "It is difficult to detect," one officer admitted. The commander's voice became colder. "Then destroy everything around the battlefield." New orders spread across the fleet immediately. Large alien warships began moving into new positions. Their massive cannons slowly turned toward the asteroid clusters and debris fields surrounding Earth's orbit. Moments later, bright beams of energy blasted across space. Asteroids shattered into pieces. Chunks of rock exploded into dust. The Empire was trying to destroy anything that might be hiding the human weapon. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Command watched the alien response carefully. Large screens showed the enemy fleet firing at the surrounding asteroid fields. One officer spoke with concern. "They're searching for the weapon." The scientist who helped build it nodded. "They will not find it easily. The camouflage systems are strong." Still, everyone understood that the aliens would eventually discover the truth. The commander turned toward the technicians. "How long until the weapon can fire again?" One technician checked the systems. "Energy recharge is still in progress. Several minutes remaining." The commander nodded. "We will use that time carefully." Meanwhile, far away from Earth, a new message was sent through deep space. The alien fleet commander had contacted the heart of the Empire. The message traveled through powerful communication relays across the stars. When the report finally reached the Imperial capital, the reaction was immediate. The Emperor of the Empire was furious. The Empire had ruled the galaxy through fear and power. The idea that a small planet like Earth had destroyed Imperial warships was an insult that could not be ignored. The Emperor gave a simple order: send reinforcements. Soon, a second massive fleet began preparing for departure. Thousands of additional warships powered up their engines. The Emperor wanted to make an example of Earth. Back in the solar system, the alien commander received the response from the capital. Reinforcements were on the way. His expression slowly returned to calm confidence. Soon, the Empire would show humanity the true scale of its power. Across the battlefield, alien warships regrouped and moved into stronger formations. Their weapons charged as they prepared for a much larger attack. Human defense forces also noticed the change. Inside the command center on Earth, officers studied the updated battle reports. One technician spoke. "Enemy fleet is reorganizing." Another officer added quietly, "They look angry." The commander nodded. "That means our attacks are working." Suddenly, another signal appeared on the screen. Long-range sensors had detected something far beyond the current battlefield. More ships. Thousands of them. The room became silent as the data appeared. One officer slowly spoke. "Another alien fleet is entering the solar system." Several people stared at the display in disbelief. The Empire was sending even more forces. The commander crossed his arms and looked at the map. "This was always possible," he said calmly. The alien empire was powerful and proud. Losing ships to a small planet would only make them more aggressive. But humanity had also prepared for a long war. Across Earth, factories continued producing weapons. New ships launched from hidden bases near the Moon and Mars. Human pilots prepared for even larger battles. The war had entered a new stage. High above the blue planet, the alien fleet gathered its strength, waiting for reinforcements and preparing to crush human resistance once and for all. But humanity was ready. And the next battle would decide the fate of Earth. Rocket. The solar system became a battlefield. Alien warships moved closer to Earth, but the humans refused to give them an easy path. Every planet, moon, and asteroid became part of the defense. Satellites and hidden platforms fired missiles and railgun rounds, while small, fast human fighters darted between debris fields to attack the enemy. Earth was no longer the quiet blue planet of old. It had turned into a fortress, ready to defend itself at all costs. The alien fleet advanced in tight formations, each massive ship bristling with weapons. Beams of energy flashed across space, targeting human stations and satellites. Explosions lit up the darkness as the first clashes began in the orbit of Mars. Human scouts reported quickly. Small, agile ships moved in waves, striking isolated alien units before retreating behind asteroids. Some of the Empire's smaller ships were destroyed almost instantly. A human commander stared at the holographic display showing the positions of both fleets. "They're trying to advance through the asteroid belt," he said. "We can use the rocks as cover." A young pilot nodded. "We can hit them from multiple angles. They won't see it coming." Meanwhile, the aliens had already learned that Earth's defenses were clever and deadly. Their larger ships fired energy beams into asteroid fields, attempting to clear potential hiding spots for human ships. But humans had prepared for that. Pre-programmed drones and automated missiles emerged from hidden positions, striking alien vessels before they could move safely. On the moon, massive human cannons fired continuously, aiming at approaching alien ships. Even though the aliens' shields absorbed some damage, several ships were destroyed in a matter of minutes. The Empire was frustrated. Their commanders had faced many planets in the past, and none had resisted so effectively. Their confidence began to waver as losses grew. "Why are these humans so clever?" one officer shouted in frustration. "They fight like predators." The fleet commander's voice remained calm, but his eyes narrowed. "They are dangerous. They use every advantage the system offers. Do not underestimate them." The battle spread further. Asteroid fields near Jupiter became another battleground. Human forces used massive ice and rock chunks to block energy beams, creating temporary shields. Fighters raced between debris, firing missiles and disappearing before alien ships could react. Even Mars became a strategic location. Human bases on the surface launched fast attack crafts, coordinating with orbital platforms. Alien ships, despite their size and firepower, struggled to predict the next human strike. Back at Earth's command center, officers watched reports from all over the solar system. The room was tense but focused. "They are moving in smaller groups," one officer said. "It's working. Keep pressure on them," another replied. "Force them to split their forces. That's where we have the advantage." The alien fleet commander realized the human strength. Their strategy was not just defense, it was clever offense. By using smaller ships, hidden weapons, and the terrain of space itself, humans had turned the solar system into a trap. For every ship the Empire destroyed, humans struck back from unexpected angles. Energy beams from orbital stations and missiles from hidden platforms inflicted heavy damage on alien cruisers. Even the Empire's largest vessels were taking hits, their armor dented and shields weakening. Amid the chaos, human pilots moved like shadows. Fast, fearless, and coordinated, they struck at the alien fleet with precision. Some ships would appear near Jupiter's moons, fire their weapons, and vanish before counterattacks could reach them. The alien commanders began to panic. "They are everywhere," one shouted. "We cannot predict their attacks." The fleet commander tightened his grip on the console. "Concentrate fire. Destroy the small ships first." But even as the aliens tried to adapt, humans kept changing tactics. One group used the sun's glare to hide, launching missiles while the fleet's sensors were blinded by light. Another group raced through the asteroid belt, hitting the enemy from behind. For the first time, the alien empire realized that Earth was not a simple target. Every move they made was countered with precision, every attack met with speed and cunning. The solar system war had only just begun, but already it was clear humanity would not be defeated easily. Above Earth, explosions lit the darkness of space. Wreckage floated between planets. Missiles streaked across the void. Beams of energy collided with hidden shields. In the command center, the human commander whispered to himself, eyes fixed on the battle map. They came for Earth expecting an easy victory, but they are about to learn the true strength of humanity. And somewhere, deep in the alien fleet, the Empire's commanders began to wonder if this small blue planet might be more dangerous than any world they had ever faced. The war for the solar system had begun, and it would change everything. The solar system war had reached a critical point. Alien warships had suffered heavy losses, but their numbers were still overwhelming. Thousands of massive vessels moved in coordinated formations, their glowing engines cutting through the darkness of space. Energy beams fired constantly, destroying asteroids, debris, and even some human platforms. On Earth, the Global Defense Command studied every movement of the enemy. Large screens displayed the positions of every alien ship and human fleet. Commanders and scientists worked tirelessly, analyzing battle data to find a weakness. One young analyst pointed at the display. "Sir," she said, voice tense, "we've found a pattern." The commander leaned forward. "Explain." The analyst highlighted several alien ships. "Their formations and attacks are coordinated through a central command network. If that network is disabled, the ships lose synchronization. Their attacks become chaotic. A hush fell over the room. "Are you saying that one strike could disable the fleet?" another officer asked. "Yes," she replied. "If we can reach the command flagship and disrupt its systems, the entire fleet will be vulnerable." The room filled with murmurs. This was the opportunity they had been waiting for. The commander nodded slowly. "Prepare a strike team. This mission is critical." A small human fleet was assembled. It consisted of the fastest ships available, packed with advanced weapons and electronic warfare systems. Pilots trained for years, but never in a mission like this. Precision, speed, and courage would decide the fate of humanity. The target, the alien command ship, the largest and most heavily defended vessel in the fleet. As the strike team approached the enemy formation, the main fleet fought fiercely to distract the aliens. Human fighters darted between asteroids and debris fields, launching missiles at smaller ships to create openings. The alien fleet responded with heavy fire, but the distraction worked. The strike team moved like shadows through the battlefield, hiding behind asteroids and using the sun's glare to mask their movements. Each pilot knew that failure meant destruction, not just for them, but for Earth. Inside the alien command ship, officers monitored approaching targets. Their sensors detected unusual movements, but by the time they reacted, the strike team had already passed the outer defenses. The flagship's shields glowed with energy as the human ships closed in. Missiles fired, but the strike fleet used advanced jamming systems to confuse the enemy sensors. Beams of energy missed their targets, striking empty space. One pilot whispered over the comms, "Almost there, hold your positions." The team split into groups, surrounding the massive flagship from multiple angles. High-powered energy pulses and hacking drones were launched toward the ship's network systems. Inside the alien flagship, alarms rang loudly. Lights flashed red. Officers shouted orders, but chaos had begun. One of the engineers shouted, "We're under attack. The network is failing." Screens flickered as vital systems shut down. Communications between ships became erratic. Commands were delayed or ignored entirely. Outside, the rest of the alien fleet reacted slowly. Ships fired randomly, their attacks losing precision. Several cruisers collided with debris while attempting to move. Smaller vessels were destroyed by their own miscalculated maneuvers. The strike team continued to attack relentlessly. Electronic warfare systems penetrated the command network, sending false signals and overriding shields. The flagship's engines faltered, and the giant ship began drifting uncontrollably. On Earth, the commanders watched with tense excitement. "It's working," one officer said. "The fleet is losing coordination." Indeed, across the battlefield, alien ships collided with one another. Missiles fired in random directions. Energy beams struck empty space. Confusion spread like wildfire. The once proud Empire fleet, which had seemed unstoppable, was now vulnerable. Humanity seized the opportunity. Small, fast ships attacked from multiple directions, destroying damaged vessels with precision strikes. Hidden orbital platforms fired missiles into disorganized enemy formations. Explosions lit up space as alien ships fell one by one. The strike team stayed near the flagship, ensuring its complete disablement. Moments later, the massive vessel exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris scattering across the battlefield. Inside the alien command network, total chaos reigned. Ships tried to retreat but lacked direction. Many collided with one another or drifted helplessly as humans picked them off. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Command erupted in quiet celebration. The tide had turned. From that moment on, humanity was no longer defending, they were attacking. The alien empire, once confident in its power, now faced destruction. High above the planet, the small blue world looked peaceful from a distance, but the humans had proven something extraordinary. They had turned the tide of war through intelligence, strategy, and courage. And the Empire was beginning to understand a truth it had never faced before. Humans were dangerous. Not because of their technology, but because of their determination, unity, and cunning. The battle for the solar system had entered a new phase, one that the Empire could not ignore. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were winning. And the galaxy would never forget it. The alien fleet was in chaos. For the first time in its long history, the Empire faced a threat it could not control. The destruction of the command flagship had left thousands of warships without coordination. Energy beams flew randomly through space. Some ships collided with debris, while others fired blindly into the void. Above Earth, the planet's surface remained calm, but in orbit and across the solar system, a storm of fire and metal raged. Human pilots and fleets prepared for the decisive strike. Every commander understood that this was the moment humanity had been waiting for. Inside the Global Defense Command, the main holographic display showed the positions of every alien ship. The remaining fleet was scattered, disorganized, and vulnerable. Humans had never faced such a large-scale opportunity. The commander stood in front of the screen, voice firm. All units, this is the final strike. Surround the fleet and eliminate every vessel. Do not allow retreat. Pilots in orbit cheered softly. Years of training, fear, and hope had led to this moment. Each ship, from the smallest fighter to the hidden orbital platforms, moved into position. The human strategy was simple but deadly. Small ships would attack from multiple directions, striking weak points in the alien fleet. Missiles and energy beams from orbital platforms would follow, while hidden weapons and mines prevented any escape. The alien commanders tried to organize their remaining vessels. Some ships formed loose formations, while others attempted to flee toward the outer solar system. But the damage had been done. Their once perfect coordination was gone. From the moon to Mars, human forces moved swiftly. Fighters darted between asteroids and debris fields, appearing suddenly, firing missiles, and vanishing just as quickly. The alien fleet tried to respond, but without central command, their movements were slow and uncoordinated. One massive alien cruiser fired its energy cannons at a group of human fighters. Several ships exploded, but dozens more evaded the attack. Missiles from Earth-based platforms struck the cruiser's weak points, tearing holes in its armor. In minutes, it was destroyed. The battle spread across the solar system. Human fighters attacked from behind asteroids near Jupiter. Orbital platforms around Earth launched thousands of missiles at isolated alien ships. Every movement was precise, every strike calculated. Inside the alien command ship wreckage, the remaining officers panicked. "The humans, they are attacking from all sides," one shouted. Another officer added, "Our fleet cannot respond. Coordination is lost." The fleet commander, once confident in victory, now stared in disbelief. The humans were everywhere, appearing where no one expected, striking with deadly accuracy. On Earth, the human commander watched the reports carefully. A small smile crossed his face. "They came to destroy us," he said. But they never understood Earth's strength. Even the smallest human fighters played a vital role. Agile and fast, they penetrated enemy defenses and delivered crippling blows. Mines hidden in asteroid fields destroyed entire squadrons. Railgun platforms fired metal projectiles that tore through alien armor. Alien warships attempted to regroup, but every move was countered. Missiles chased fleeing vessels. Energy beams cut through shields. The humans had turned the solar system into a trap. For hours, the battle raged. Bright flashes of explosions illuminated the darkness. Wreckage floated between planets. The alien fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable power, was now reduced to chaos and destruction. Finally, the remaining alien vessels tried to retreat toward the edge of the solar system. But humanity had anticipated this. Hidden strike teams had blocked every escape route. Missiles fired from Earth, Mars, and hidden bases struck the fleeing ships. One by one, the vessels were destroyed. Inside the Global Defense Command, officers watched the last enemy ships disappear in fiery explosions. Silence fell over the room. Humans had done the impossible. The commander turned to his team, voice steady but full of pride. "This is the end of the invasion. Humanity has won." Outside, in the blackness of space, the battlefield was quiet once more. Pieces of alien warships drifted between planets and moons. The solar system had survived. Earth remained unbroken, its people safe for now. And humanity had proven something incredible. They were not just survivors. They were fighters. They were clever, united, and fearless. The Empire had come with the intention to conquer. Instead, it had faced the full force of human ingenuity. For the first time in centuries, the alien empire had been defeated by a single planet. Above Earth, the stars shone quietly, unaware of the lesson humanity had just delivered. The war was over, but the galaxy had changed forever. Humans had turned what seemed impossible into reality. They had won, and the Empire would never forget it. The alien empire's fleet was shattered. From the edge of the solar system to the orbit of Mars, nothing remained of the once proud warships. Explosions still flickered across the darkness, but the Empire had no power left to fight. The humans had destroyed every major vessel, leaving the remaining aliens scattered and leaderless. Inside the remnants of the alien flagship, officers tried to organize a retreat. Chaos filled the control room. Communications between ships were broken. Pilots had no orders. Many vessels were drifting aimlessly through space, unable to return home. One officer shouted frantically, "We can't hold them. They are everywhere." Another officer, pale and trembling, looked at the burning wreckage around them. The humans, they've destroyed everything. In the command center back on Earth, the atmosphere was tense. Even though victory was almost certain, every human knew the Empire was dangerous and cunning. They could not take chances. The commander spoke firmly, voice echoing in the room. "Do not allow any ships to escape. Finish this battle." Orders spread quickly. Human fleets from Earth, the Moon, Mars, and hidden bases moved into final positions. Every escape route was blocked. Missiles, railguns, and energy weapons targeted every remaining alien ship. Small human fighters darted between asteroids, tracking enemy vessels. Even damaged alien ships were not safe. Humans attacked with precision, never giving the aliens a chance to regroup. One alien cruiser tried to flee past Jupiter. Missiles launched from human bases intercepted it. The massive ship exploded in a brilliant flash, sending pieces of armor and glowing energy shards into the void. Another vessel attempted to move toward Saturn. Human railgun platforms fired long metal projectiles, tearing holes in the alien hull. Flames erupted, and the ship was destroyed within seconds. From Mercury to Neptune, humans systematically hunted the remaining ships. Every vessel that survived the first battles now faced destruction. The Empire had no command, no coordination, no hope. In the alien command fleet, some officers realized the truth. Their empire, feared across hundreds of worlds, had been defeated by one planet. "This is impossible," one officer whispered. Another officer growled, How did they do it?" The Empire had always relied on power and fear. Worlds surrendered at the first sight of their fleets. But Earth was different. Humans were clever, unified, and fearless. They had used every advantage of their solar system to strike back. Every weakness in the alien fleet had been exploited. Every misstep punished. The fleet commander's chair was empty. The humans had destroyed even the leadership. Without guidance, the remaining vessels were no match for Earth's combined forces. On Earth, humans watched as the last alien ships were destroyed. Cheers filled the command center. People clapped and hugged, though some were still silent, taking in the gravity of the moment. They had faced one of the greatest powers in the galaxy and survived. They had won. Outside, in orbit and across the solar system, the debris of alien ships floated silently. The once mighty Empire fleet had been reduced to thousands of pieces of burning metal, drifting into space. Even as the last ships exploded, humans knew this was only the beginning. The Empire had been defeated, but the galaxy would remember the name of the planet that had dared to fight back. New signals were sent across the solar system. Humanity had destroyed the Empire's fleet. Every nearby system, every friendly and neutral world, would hear of Earth's victory. The alien emperor, receiving reports from distant sensors, could only stare in disbelief. The Empire had never lost a battle on this scale. Its pride, its power, its centuries of conquest, all had been shattered by a single, united species. For the first time, the Empire would have to face humiliation. Their fleets were gone, their control over the galaxy shaken, their reputation destroyed. On Earth, the human commander looked at the screens, watching the last explosion fade into the blackness of space. "We did it," he said quietly. A scientist next to him nodded. "Not just survived, we won. We defeated the greatest empire the galaxy has ever known." The commander's eyes scanned the battlefield. Planets, moons, and orbital platforms were scarred, but humanity had survived intact. Their people were safe. Their planet was free. And far above Earth, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the courage of a small blue world that had taken on the galaxy and won. Humanity had proven its greatest truth. Unity, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the most impossible odds. The Empire had fallen, and a new chapter for Earth had begun. The galaxy was quiet. For the first time in centuries, the empire that had ruled countless worlds was gone. Its fleets were destroyed, its leaders humiliated, its power broken. A small blue planet, Earth, had faced the greatest threat imaginable and won. Across Earth, celebrations were muted but heartfelt. Families, soldiers, scientists, and civilians gathered in homes, streets, and public squares. People cheered for the survival of their species, the safety of their planet, and the triumph of unity and courage. Inside the Global Defense Command, the human commander looked at the battle maps one final time. Every alien ship had been destroyed or rendered inoperable. The solar system was finally safe. "We have done what no one thought possible," he said. "We defeated an empire. We survived against overwhelming odds. And now we must prepare for the future." A young scientist nodded. "The Empire underestimated humans. They thought our planet was primitive, our weapons weak. But they never understood determination, strategy, or courage. They never understood us." Outside Earth's orbit, human ships moved slowly among the debris fields, scanning for survivors and salvaging technology. Pieces of alien warships floated through space, remnants of a defeated empire. Scientists studied these fragments, learning more about advanced systems, energy shields, and propulsion engines. Humanity now held knowledge that would change their future forever. In orbit, hidden stations powered down after weeks of constant activity. Human pilots returned from daring missions that had destroyed massive alien warships. They had risked everything and succeeded. Many were tired, but all were proud. On the planet's surface, cities lit up with celebrations. People danced, hugged, and wept. For years, humanity had feared annihilation. Now they had proven that Earth could survive anything, and even defeat a galactic power. Meanwhile, in the outer solar system, the remnants of the alien empire drifted aimlessly. Small groups of ships tried to flee to distant star systems, but with no command and communication broken, survival was uncertain. The empire that once inspired fear across the galaxy had been shattered by ingenuity, unity, and courage. Back on Earth, the commander addressed the world. Broadcasts reached every city, village, and home. His voice was steady and confident. "People of Earth, today we have shown the galaxy what humanity can do. We faced a force greater than anything we had imagined. Yet we stood together. We fought. And we won. From this moment, Earth is no longer just a planet. We are a power to be respected." Across the command center, officers nodded. Humans had survived countless wars on their own world, but this victory meant something more. This was proof that Earth could compete with civilizations far older and more advanced. Scientists began studying alien technology to build new defenses, faster ships, and better weapons. Pilots trained for exploration and combat. Engineers worked on creating stations that could travel beyond the solar system. Humanity had not only survived, they were preparing to thrive among the stars. In the weeks that followed, Earth sent messages across space. They were no longer just warnings, they were statements. Humanity had survived, fought back, and won. Other civilizations that had been conquered by the Empire would now hear of Earth's victory. Some would look to Earth for leadership. Others might approach with caution, knowing that humans were clever, united, and unstoppable when threatened. The commander stood on a platform overlooking Earth's capital city. Lights glittered across the landscape, reflecting rivers and oceans. Children played in the streets. Ships took off into orbit, patrolling, exploring, and preparing for new journeys. Humanity has changed, he said quietly. We have faced the impossible and survived. Now it is time to take our place among the stars. The planet itself seemed to respond. From orbit, Earth glowed with life and energy. The humans who lived there had shown courage and ingenuity that no alien empire had ever faced. They had defended their home, preserved their species, and shattered what had seemed unbeatable. For centuries, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they were not just survivors, they were warriors, strategists, and pioneers. The galaxy had been challenged by a small blue planet, and it had learned a truth it could not ignore. Earth would rise. From the ashes of an empire defeated by one planet, humanity looked to the stars. Their unity, intelligence, and courage had won the greatest war the galaxy had ever seen. The small blue planet had become a symbol of hope, strength, and determination. And the galaxy would never forget the name of humanity. Earth had survived. Earth had won. And now, humanity was ready to lead.